Good afternoon, team. I'll just make sure that this is working before I get too far into it. We're going to explain perfect how a credit card balance transfer works. Now, this is something that's probably hard to explain via writing, so I thought I'd just make a quick video. And it's, I think, something that people probably get trapped in at some stage in their life is a credit card, buying things that we probably don't need too much, but are keen to have now and think we'll pay it off later. And eventually we get stung by 20% interest or high levels of interest. But there are a couple of tricks you can use to try and get yourself out of the shit. So gonna show you those. I've got some text there in the comments basically explaining what you potentially can do and what you should say to the bank. But if you want to have a Google, you want to Google for a credit card balance transfer. So basically what it does is it takes your credit card debt and it moves it from one bank to another bank. So the reason the bank does it is that they want you potentially as a customer for the rest of your life journey, and they'll make some money out of you in other ways as you grow with them as a customer. So they might say to you, yep, we'll take your credit card debt on of $5,000, but you've got effectively this a 6-month window of say 0% or 2% interest, and you can pay that down. So that's obviously a lot better than paying 20% on that $5,000 at another bank, and it gives you a window to try and get rid of that before the 6 months is finished, and you then get into their high levels of interest. So you want to have a Google. It was years ago, this was pretty common. This is a way that banks were grabbing customers from each other, and people were moving large levels of credit card debt from one bank to another, and you had 12 months or 24 months to pay it. These things are constantly changing, so have a Google. I will show you this screen here. I have Googled this and found that at the moment, this is not endorsed by ASB in any way, and not sponsored by them or anything, but I noticed they have zero interest balance transfers, 0% for 6 months. So if you have a manageable level of debt, you could potentially move from one bank to another, and you'd have 6 months, as they say, at 0% to try and pay that off. So if you're with ASB, you're probably going to be in a little bit of strife there, because they probably won't let you transfer bank to bank, but maybe it's definitely worth asking the question, especially if you tell them you may move to another bank. But basically you will get that says that they're not going to charge a fee to put you on here. So there's some frequently asked questions and stuff. They're not going to charge you a fee, but you'll have 6 months. So then once you decide to do that, what you want to do is you want to go back to your planning sheet that we have done, and hopefully you have excess credit and excess money. So that's obviously a different story, but if you do, then you want to use that excess money to try and pay down that debt that you're transferring from bank to bank. So say you have your income of $5,000 a month, and you do your budget, and it comes out that you've left with $4,000 in that month. You're negative because obviously you're getting paid monthly, but you can treat your closing balance of your bank, and you've got excess funds. So what you want to do is you want to try and pay down that debt before the end of the low interest changes back to the new bank's higher interest rate. So be very smart about it, and go back and plug in, up here you could add one of these lines as a credit card. You might decide that you're going to pay $500 every fortnight, and you can see down here that you've still got money to spend, so you're not going broke or running out of money. And in that time, you've paid off $2,500 of your credit card. So the key thing to do when you're using something like a balance transfer from ASB or any of these other banks is to not kick up further debt. So you're using it as a way to get yourself out of the trap of paying high interest, but at the same time you want to try and clear that debt. Otherwise you're going to end up with the same situation. So use it to your advantage, but be smart with it. Don't let it be moving one debt from one bank to another and then being in the same position. you want to really try and use it to your advantage, right? If you've got any questions at all, drop them in the comments. It should be pretty self-explanatory. I think a lot of people will rack up some credit card debt in their time, and this is a good way to try and get out of the trap of 20% interest rates and the like. Hopefully that's helpful for you. If you've got any questions or comments, like I say, feel free to leave those behind, or if anything doesn't make sense, but hopefully that can help you kick some of those 20% interest rates to touch.